So earlier we implemented this method for getting the balance, and I told you that there is a better way. Now, don't get me wrong, this solution is perfectly fine, but I don't like the fact that we are calling a method here. Wouldn't that be nicer if we could code like this? So we would access the balance property just like before. This is where we use getters and setters. So look, earlier we renamed this private property to underline balance. So now we can put the cursor here, press F2, and rename this method to balance. And then we apply the get keyword just before it. Now what we have is called a getter. So a getter is a method inside a class that we use for getting the value of a property. Now with this syntax, we can access the balance property just like before, but we cannot set it. So if we try to set account.balance to some value, we get a compilation error saying cannot assign to balance because it's a read-only property. Now, in this case, we don't really want to assign directly to balance because, as I said before, the balance should only be updated as part of depositing or withdrawing money. But let's say in some situations, we want to implement a setter where we get a value and validate it. So let me show you how to implement a setter here. So we start with a set keyword. Then we give our method a name, just like before, balance. Now this method should get some value, which is going to be a number. And in this method, we can do some validation. For example, we can say if value is less than 0, throw new error, invalid value. Otherwise, if the value is correct, then we can set this underline balance to this new value. So we have a getter for getting the value of this private property and a setter for setting its value. Now with this syntax, we can work with this property just like before, but we are not assigning directly to our private property. So anytime we assign a value to this property, this setter gets called, and this is our chance for validating data. Now again, in this case, we don't want to have a setter, so I'm going to delete this method. Okay, so this is all about getters and setters.